History often remembers wars for their battles and treaties, but behind these conflicts often lie complex economic factors. These factors are often hidden from view, but they play a crucial role in pushing nations towards war. World Wars I and II are prime examples of this dynamic. Understanding these economic roots is essential to understanding the nature of war itself. Economic rivalry between nations can create a climate of distrust and hostility. This can escalate into open conflict, especially when combined with other tensions. The pursuit of resources, markets, and economic dominance has often been a key motivator for war. Leaders sometimes resort to force to secure their nation's economic interests, believing it to be a matter of survival or supremacy. The consequences of these economic wars are always devastating. They result in immense human suffering, destruction, and global instability. Recognizing the economic factors behind war is crucial. It allows us to better understand the motivations of nations and potentially prevent future conflicts. By examining the economic factors that contributed to past world wars, we can learn valuable lessons for the present and the future. In the years leading up to World War I, Europe was a cauldron of competing economic interests. The great powers, Great Britain, Germany, and France, were locked in a struggle for industrial and imperial dominance. Their economies were deeply intertwined, yet they also clashed in key areas. Great Britain, at the dawn of the 20th century, was the world's preeminent economic power. Its vast empire and control over sea lanes gave it a commanding position in global trade. Germany, however, was rapidly industrializing and challenging Britain's economic supremacy. Germany's growing industrial output and desire for colonies created friction with Britain and France. France, still smarting from its defeat in the Franco-Prussian War and the loss of Alsace-Lorraine, eyed Germany's growing military with suspicion. Economic rivalry exacerbated these tensions. Competition for resources and markets, particularly in Africa and the Middle East, fueled mistrust and animosity. This toxic mix of economic competition, imperial ambition, and nationalistic fervor created a powder keg in Europe. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo in 1914 provided the spark that ignited the First World War. While the assassination was the immediate trigger, the underlying economic tensions played a crucial role in setting the stage for this global conflict. The Treaty of Versailles, which ended World War I, imposed harsh economic penalties on Germany. These penalties aimed to cripple Germany's ability to wage war again. However, they also sowed the seeds for future conflict. The reparations, payments, and territorial losses crippled the German economy and fueled resentment among the German population. The economic chaos in Germany following the war created fertile ground for extremist ideologies. The Great Depression of the 1930s further exacerbated the situation, leading to hyperinflation and mass unemployment. The Nazi Party, led by Adolf Hitler, exploited this economic misery to gain power. Hitler promised to restore Germany's economic and military might. He embarked on a massive rearmament program defying the Treaty of Versailles. He also sought to expand German territory, aiming to create living space for the German people. This expansionist policy brought Germany into conflict with its neighbors. The economic crisis of the 1930s, combined with the legacy of World War I, created a perfect storm that led to the outbreak of World War II. Germany's ambition to reassert itself as a global power, fueled by economic grievances and a desire for revenge, plunged the world into another devastating conflict. While war brings death and destruction, certain industries benefit from the increased demand for weapons and supplies. These merchants of death, as they are sometimes called, profit from the global arms trade and often lobby for policies that perpetuate conflict. The military-industrial complex, a term coined by President Dwight D. Eisenhower, describes the close relationship between governments and defense contractors. During World War I and II, companies involved in manufacturing weapons, ammunition, aircraft, and other war materials experienced significant growth. These companies profited handsomely from government contracts, supplying the tools of war to their respective nations. The demand for weapons and military equipment skyrocketed during these conflicts. The profits generated by these industries created a powerful incentive for them to lobby for policies that maintained or increased military spending. This influence on government policy, combined with the inherent profitability of war, raises concerns about the role of economic interests in perpetuating conflict. While the ethical implications of profiting from war are a subject of debate, the fact remains that certain industries benefit from armed conflict. Understanding the economic incentives at play is crucial to developing policies that promote peace and prevent unnecessary wars. The competition for natural resources, particularly oil, has been a major driver of conflict in the modern era. The Middle East, with its vast oil reserves, has been a focal point of these struggles. Control over oil production and transportation routes has become a strategic imperative for many nations. The 1991 Gulf War, for example, was sparked by Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, which was largely motivated by a desire to control Kuwait's oil wealth. The US-led intervention to liberate Kuwait highlighted the strategic importance of oil in international relations. Similarly, the ongoing conflicts in Syria and Yemen have been exacerbated by competition for oil and gas resources. Beyond oil, other resources such as water, minerals, and arable land are becoming increasingly scarce. Climate change is exacerbating these shortages, leading to increased competition and the potential for conflict. As resources become more scarce, the likelihood of conflict over their control will likely increase. Understanding the link between resource scarcity and conflict is crucial for developing policies that promote cooperation and sustainable resource management. Failure to address these challenges could lead to more frequent and intense conflicts in the future. Section 6. The shadow of economic warfare, sanctions and trade wars. Economic warfare has become an increasingly common tool of statecraft in the 21st century. Sanctions, tariffs, and other forms of economic pressure are used to achieve political objectives without resorting to military force. While these measures are often presented as a peaceful alternative to war, they can have devastating consequences for civilian populations. The ongoing trade war between the United States and China is a prime example of economic warfare. Both countries have imposed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of each other's goods, disrupting global supply chains and harming businesses and consumers. The trade war is rooted in economic competition, but it also reflects broader geopolitical tensions between the two superpowers. Sanctions, another form of economic warfare, are often used to punish governments for human rights abuses, support for terrorism, or other actions deemed unacceptable by the international community. While sanctions can be an effective tool for exerting pressure, they can also have unintended consequences, harming ordinary citizens and exacerbating humanitarian crises. Economic warfare is a double-edged sword. While it can be a useful tool for achieving foreign policy objectives, it can also have unintended consequences and escalate tensions. The use of economic warfare is likely to continue in the future, but it is essential to use it judiciously and with a clear understanding of its potential costs and consequences. Section 7. The global casino, financial crises and international tensions. The interconnected nature of the global economy means that financial crises in one country can quickly spread to others. These crises can lead to political instability, social unrest, and even conflict. The 2008 global financial crisis, which originated in the United States, had a ripple effect across the world, leading to recessions, job losses, and social unrest in many countries. The crisis highlighted the vulnerabilities of the global financial system and the potential for economic shocks to destabilize international relations. In the aftermath of the crisis, there were calls for greater regulation of the financial industry and increased international cooperation to prevent future crises. Financial crises can exacerbate existing tensions between countries. For example, the European sovereign debt crisis, which began in 2009, strained relations between Germany, the Eurozone's largest economy, and Greece, one of the countries hit hardest by the crisis. The crisis also fueled resentment towards austerity measures imposed by international lenders, contributing to the rise of populist and nationalist movements in Europe. The interconnectedness of the global economy means that financial stability is a shared responsibility. International cooperation is essential to prevent and manage financial crises, which can have far-reaching consequences for peace and security. Section 8. The future of conflict. Will economic interests spark the next war? As we look to the future, it is clear that economic factors will continue to play a significant role in shaping international relations and the potential for conflict. Competition for resources, technological advancements, and the rise of new economic powers are all creating new challenges and potential flashpoints. The Arctic region, for example, is becoming increasingly accessible due to climate change, opening up new shipping routes and access to natural resources. This has led to increased competition between countries, including Russia, China, and the United States, raising concerns about the potential for conflict in the region. Cyber warfare, another emerging threat, has the potential to disrupt economies and critical infrastructure. Cyber attacks can target financial institutions, power grids, and other essential services, causing widespread chaos and economic damage. The increasing sophistication of cyber attacks and the difficulty in attributing them to specific actors make them a particularly dangerous threat to international security. As technology continues to advance and the global economy becomes increasingly interconnected, the potential for economic competition to spill over into conflict will likely increase. Addressing these challenges will require international cooperation, diplomacy, and a commitment to peaceful resolution of disputes. Section 9. Conclusion. The enduring link between economics and war. The history of the 20th and 21st centuries demonstrates the powerful and often hidden role of economics in driving international conflict. From the economic rivalries that contributed to the outbreak of two world wars to the modern-day struggles over resources and access to markets, economic interests have been a constant factor in shaping the contours of war and peace. While military force remains a potent tool of statecraft, economic warfare in its various forms has become increasingly common. Sanctions, tariffs, and cyber attacks can all be used to inflict economic pain and achieve political objectives. However, these measures also carry risks as they can escalate tensions, harm civilians, and damage the global economy. Understanding the complex relationship between economics and war is essential for policymakers, business leaders, and citizens alike. By recognizing the economic factors that can contribute to conflict, we can better anticipate and mitigate potential threats, promote cooperation, and strive for a more peaceful and prosperous world.